Today, I would like to talk about something that's been bothering me for centuries and centuries to go on. Something that will forever be embedded into the bones and the marrow that is within my body, to every fabric of every atom, the cells, all the way up to my entire existence as a full blown carbon-based organism on the entirety of planet Earth. And that, my friends, is B&D Productions. I just want to take a second and look at this logo because it's just so like I love it. I think it looks so good. Like I understand it was made in MS Paint. Like if you look at it, like you can literally see the spray paint tool. This is what I won't talk about their names. This is N and this is D. So I'm B. So D was the one that actually did this spray paint effect here, which they actually came out and they argued with me and said that it looks pixelated, but I think that the spray paint was actually just a nice texture, especially from like a distance. It just looked like a good texture, and I know that the B and D, like the font, like actual font, is like a pixelated font, but I think that like that blending of that, I don't know, I just think it looks great, like genuinely. Like the production is just clean, and it's just I don't know. I had big issues with this in the past. Honestly, I was a huge douchebag piece of shit, 100%. Like the moment anything started going wrong, I started going down the shithole because nobody was really there to back me up on any of the things that I was doing, and there were no compromises being made. And I should have just walked away from the situation in general, but I stayed because my emotions put me there, and that was a terrible decision, and doing so was very poor and very not good. It was awkward because it was like in the middle of like my divorce. If you guys knew that I had one of those, this was all going down, so it's just kind of an awkward jump because so we had this logo here that wanted to be changed. The other two people wanted to change it, the N and D. I wasn't exactly excited to do that because I felt like we didn't have anything to put out. We put out one episode of something that was called the Altered Minds. So the Altered Minds is like, okay, this is the actual like YouTube page, but the Altered Minds got 717 views. It was like its own thing. It was one episode, and it had a lot of issues with quality. Getting it made actually took over a year. I think it was like a year and a half. And well, the remarkable thing about it was the second episode was actually going to take half the time or even less. The biggest issue that we had was, God, I wish I could. Let me pull up. I want to pull up an actual image of this thing. This was like since 2019. Look, they didn't even have any of our old stuff. They just said since 2019. What a piece of shit. Like honestly, how can you just like completely restart like that? Like they took this was actually the B&D Productions page. They completely erased it and just turned it into Just Words Media and just pretended like it didn't exist. But what was irritating to me about this was they thought it was actually a good idea to say this just works. They couldn't come up with a good name. We sat there for hours and hours and days brainstorming things to try to get me to change my mind effectively on wanting to change the logo and the name. I said no, people know us as B&D Productions. It's gonna hurt our brand recognition, and people aren't going to perceive that and immediately recognize it anymore. And well, the issue with this is they go, "Oh, it just works." Like that is the most laziest, just outright like boring, bland thing you could come out with. Oh, it just works. And their whole argument was we wanted to modernize and make it like how everybody else was doing, and it was kind of a big hypocrisy of them because they put our entire like not slogan, but our brand was effectively people love us. So they liked B, they liked the N, they liked the D. We worked well together in that aspect that people like to see us on the screen and doing the acting and doing all the filmmaking and editing all by ourselves, and that was just kind of our friend group thing. So we kind of just somehow managed to drift away from that into this and modernize and do what everybody else wanted to do, and it just did not work. If you literally like I don't know what happened. It's kind of weird because I have these text messages as well that I'll probably go through of like D basically saying like, oh yeah, we're just doing weddings now. Like they're just doing like little video stuff that don't like, it's just bored. They're just bored of it, and they stopped enjoying it. Well, Like looking back at this, it's like how much effort we put into this, and it's just so disappointing. Like it's just so outright disappointing. Like any normal person should be disappointed by this. Like the amount of exposure that this got was actually pretty decent for one episode, and we were really excited for the second episode. Like the second episode was actually supposed to be incredible. Like I still have it. I believe the end still has it. Everybody still kind of has stuff about the second episode, and it was fucking remarkable. Like it looks beautiful and it was fantastic and it was very quickly made. So I think one of our biggest issues that we really had was like I would be very aggressive and very upset when things did not go the way that they were supposed to. I'll explain why I acted that way, but I understand that that was very toxic of me and I should not never have acted that way, and that was very childish and very all around, like how I already previously mentioned, not good. My biggest problem with all this, though, is that I've been in a constant state of explaining myself and apologizing for my actions and my decisions. I've apologized for my actions probably far too many times, and too many times to really like to matter. Like the only thing that I really wanted was like a sincere apology from the other parties. Like that's something I feel like I've never even really gotten. Like I got like one side apology when one person didn't show up because he was drinking the night prior and was got too drunk and slept in, and he made the apology into a joke, and it was like, okay, can you be sincere like with yourself, please? Because I've redone the schedule more than I have ever needed to do. Like we were all just basically a group of friends that got together to do this. So I had to work around everybody's like work schedule, like their actual like work full-time job schedules, like multiple times when one person didn't follow through and there was supposed to be 12 people to show up, we had to completely restart and do it. But I would generally push the idea of just doing something without that person, and a lot of the time, like I'll say it, I'm complete and utter shit at filmmaking. I am complete and utter shit at filmmaking. Like half the stuff that I would do when they were not there was pretty bad. But my idea was I had a marketing plan. Was I wanted to have deadlines in order to reach certain milestones. I wanted to reach different demographics of people. I wanted to make it structured. I wanted it to be, functional at some point, to grow an audience, to grow viewers, maybe to get some advertising, maybe to just get into any kind of entertainment industry at all, just based off of our own will and our sheer path and making our own way. Now, the issue with that was they did not want that. They basically ended up stopping me and making me compromise at every single point. We had to reshoot these scenes that I shot without them when they didn't show up because it wasn't quality enough to their standards, and which I completely understand. But when I'm constantly making compromises for other people, but they're not making compromises for me, I have to look at my own self-worth. And what I should have done in that situation was I should have walked the fuck away and stayed the fuck away from all these dumb butt idiots, because they weren't understanding that I was putting way more effort into this than any single person ever has and ever will. Now, so I just, that's basically it. I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest because I feel like I've always been trying to get that off my chest. I don't really know how to make it more clear to myself that like this is okay to be over because it's for the better. It's like the people weren't right for me. Like I didn't believe that they were emotionally or mentally responsible enough to compromise for me. They just wanted to make a quick buck, and that's what they basically ended up doing. They started working with a third party. Um, we'll call him Jay, and they told me as a partial owner of B&D Productions that Jay was supposed to be working with us and doing our sound for one of our film sets in order to perceive how we operate. And the guy started getting very hostile takeover-ish, kind of aggressive. And I asked him what were the logistics, like, why are you worried about the logistics when this is what I know? I was told this. And when I basically explained that this is what I know, I was told this, and told him that he was going to be working sound, he turned around and said that I was ignorant. And then basically what had happened was D and N got together and said, yeah, you can't have a problem with this guy. We're gonna go with him and make it like a 9 to 5. So they started doing like jobs out for like weddings and stuff, which is good for them, whatever. I went and started to rebuild my psyche and my mental and try to get better and work on myself so that way I didn't have all this like pain and like remorse and emotional problems to just get over the fact that like my friends did this to me kind of deal, just to get past it, just to kind of understand like I'm gonna have like a standard for like friendship and like different business aspects as well. Like I don't think working with friends is a great idea unless there's certain parameters or unless there's like actual money involved and there's actual payroll or anything like that would actually be definitely much more beneficial than just, hey, we're a group of friends getting together, let's do this, and then having to be literally backstabbed. And it's very sad. Like, yes, I've said some terrible things to these people, and I've called them less than literal garbage for what they did. And the progression of how things were going, yes, I was totally in the wrong for that, and I admit that. And I can't say that enough. Like I said. Well, anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff going on now. Louis got a podcast coming up. My ex-wife has a podcast. Um, Life's pretty good. Hanging out with the kids, playing some video games. I'll see you guys in this one. Later.